today. Um, well, even though I'm posting a video about the Republicans, but I want to get this in though too. I did spend a few hours today looking for more jobs, and I did apply to 2 jobs, but ones that don't really pay well. But technically, in this time of economy and how shitty it is, you take whatever job you can get, and then hopefully something better comes along. So right now, the jobs I applied for, they don't pay much more than $10 to $11 an hour, but at least it's a start. But let me get this one video in where I'm going to talk about. Today was the impeachment. Well, the impeachment hearing's been going on all week, or the last couple of weeks anyway. But they decided to vote on witnesses and stuff like that. And the Republicans blocked all the impeachment witnesses, so that means they're not going to call any additional witnesses. And the only reason why they did that is because they didn't want to fucking have to hear from them. That's why they blocked them all. So the Republicans blocked the impeachment witnesses, clearing a path for 45's bullshit acquittal. Sorry. Coming from Washington, the Senate brought 45 to the brink of an acquittal on Friday of charges that he abused his power and obstructed Congress, as Republicans voted to block any consideration of new witnesses and documents in his impeachment trial and shut down a final push by Democrats to bolster their case for the squatter's removal. In a nearly party-line vote after a bitter debate, Democrats failed to win the support from the 4 Republicans they needed, but 45's acquittal virtually certain. The squatter's allies rallied to his defense, though some conceded he was guilty of the central allegations against him, which he technically is. The Democrats' push for more witnesses and documents failed on a vote 51 to 49, with only 2 Republicans, Mitt Romney of Utah and Susan Collins of Maine, joining the Democrats in this favor. A vote on the verdict is planned for Wednesday. As they approach the final stage of the 3rd squatterable impeachment proceeding in the United States history, Democrats condemned the witness vote and said it would render 45's trial illegitimate and its acquittal meaningless, because technically it would be meaningless. America will remember this day, unfortunately, where the Senate did not live up to its responsibilities when the Senate turned away from truth and went along with a corruption trial, said Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, the Democratic leader. If the squatter is acquitted with no witnesses, no documents, the acquittal will have no value because Americans will know that this trial was not a real one. Even as they prepared to vote against removing 45, several Republicans challenged 45's repeated assertions that he had done nothing wrong, saying they believe he had committed the main offense of which he was accused, withholding nearly $400 million in aid to pressure Ukraine to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden and other Democrats. Still, those Republicans said they were unwilling to remove a squatter fewer than 10 months before he is to face voters. If you are persuaded that he did it, then why do you need more witnesses, said Senator Lamar Alexander? Probably because it would give us more truth and why the fuck he did what he did. A critical swing vote on the issue, whose late decision to oppose considering new evidence all but sealed 45's strict acquittal. The country is not going to accept being told that they can't elect the squatter they want to elect, and the week election starts by a majority for a merely inappropriate telephone call or action. You don't apply capital punishment for every offense, Alexander said. The vote signaled the end of a saga that has consumed Washington and threatened 45's hold on the squad seat for the past 5 months. Since the emergence in September of an anonymous whistleblower complaint accusing him of using the levers of government to push Ukraine to interfere on his behalf in the 2020 election, senators recessed the trial for the weekend and will return Monday for closing arguments with the vote on the verdict for Wednesday. The timetable will rob 45 of the opportunity to use his State of the Union address scheduled for Tuesday night to boast about his acquittal, a prospect that he has relished for several weeks. Instead, he will become the second squatter to deliver the speech during his own impeachment trial. The senators adopted the plan by a partisan vote on Friday, but only after Democrats tried one last time to subpoena 4 administration officials, including the former National Security Advisor John Bolton, and a collection of documents relevant to the case. At the White House, 45 raged against the process. He was dismissed from the start as a witch hunt and a hoax, which it really wasn't, preparing to make Democratic attempts to remove him a centerpiece of his own re-election campaign. No matter what you give the Democrats, in the end, they will never be satisfied. Yeah, I haven't been satisfied with the crimes you've been committing. I said because you're not supposed to be committing crimes, you're supposed to be defending us, and you keep fucking committing crimes. The outcome of the final vote was not in doubt. It would take a 2/3 majority, 67 senators, to convict 45 and remove him from office, which they failed on getting that. The squatter has insisted that he did nothing wrong, which he technically has, calling a July phone call conversation in which he asked the squatter of Ukraine to investigate his political rival's perfect, which it wasn't, and the impeachment inquiry is sham, which it's not. For months, he has demanded that his allies deliver nothing less than an absolute defense of his actions, but while they were poised to acquit him, Several Republicans did offer words of criticism instead. Senator Rob Portman, Republican of Ohio, said that some of the squatters' actions in this case, including asking a foreign country to investigate a potential political opponent and the delay of aid to Ukraine, he considered it wrong and inappropriate, which technically it was. Senator Marco Rubio, a Republican of Florida who challenged 45 for the Republican nomination in 2016, suggested that he did not necessarily consider the squatter innocent either, which he's technically not. And because actions meet a standard of impeachment does not mean it is in the best interest of the heart to remove a squatter from office, he said, I will not vote to remove the squatter because doing so would inflict extraordinary and potentially irreparable damage to our already divided nation. Technically, 45 is the cause of the divided nation and the damage that's already been caused. Not every Republican senator thought 45 acted improperly. For 3+ years, Democrats have been trying to parse every one of his words, add their traditional view, and find themselves often perplexed, said Senator Kevin Cramer, Republican of North Dakota. Part of the problem is that most of the American likes the straight talk and occasionally forgives if he doesn't exactly say the right thing. I have not forgiven 45 for anything he said. To me, he's just a fucking idiot. Reflecting the depth of the country's divisions, both sides were already looking past the trial to begin framing the fight for 45's conduct ahead of the November election. The first voting of the season is Monday in Iowa. With the threat of conviction removed, 45 enters the election season as the first impeached squatter in modern history to face his voters. But his expected acquittal is also likely to leave the squatter emboldened. He will argue that Democrats, unelected bureaucrats, and the mainstream media news have targeted him because of their disdain for his supporters, and that his fight for political survival is theirs as well. Democrats, too, plan to capitalize on the impeachment fight by urging voters to punish Republicans for refusing to demand a more thorough trial and for sticking with 45 despite evidence of his misdeeds, but they face the risks of potential backlash. After resisting impeachment for months, Speaker Nancy Pelosi embraced it amid revelations of 45's actions toward Ukraine last fall. In doing so, she calculated her party could not fail to act against a squatter whose actions it saw as clearly outrageous, but she confronted what she knew to be an unmovable reality in the Senate, where Democrats were starting to fall short for removing him. Senate Republicans made a wager for their own that it was better to withstand the short-term criticisms rather than to allow the proceeding to stretch on and risking damaging revelations. In doing so, they are strapping their political fate to that of a polarizing squatter who enjoys unparalleled loyalty among Republican voters. The Republican victory was sealed on Friday, just months after the debate was gavelled open, and Senator Lisa Murkowski, a Republican of Alaska, issued a statement saying that a vote for additional witnesses would only extend what she called a partisan impeachment. Still, she lamented that the Senate trial had not been fair and that Congress had failed its obligations to this country. Murkowski did not indicate how she would vote in the final articles of impeachment, which she denounced as being rushed and flawed, but she offered an unusually sharp rebuke of the institution in which she serves, appearing to cast blame on both parties and both chambers of Congress for letting excessive partisanship overtake a solemn responsibility. Given the partisan nature of this impeachment from the very beginning and throughout, I have come to the conclusion that there will be no fair trial in the Senate. She said, I don't believe the continuation of this process will change anything. It is sad for me to admit that as an institution, the Congress has failed, Murkowski said. Speaking from the well of the Senate before the vote, the Democratic House managers made a final urgent appeal for additional witnesses during a 2-hour presentation on Friday. They warned senators that a refusal to hear new evidence would ensure that 45 would never be held accountable for his actions and would undermine the nation's democratic order and the public's faith in the institutions of government. Representative Adam Schiff of California, who's a Democrat anyway, the lead House manager seized on a New York Times report published in the hours before the vote to hammer home his point. The article revealed that 45 had asked Bolton last May to assist in his pressure campaign on Ukraine. The facts will come out in all of their horror. They will come out, Schiff said. The witness the squatter is concealing will tell their stories, he added, and we will be asked why we didn't want to hear that information when we had the chance. What answer shall we give if we did not pursue the truth now? 45's defense team vigorously argued the opposite view, telling senators they had all the evidence they needed to dismiss the charges before them, and warning that calling new witnesses would set a dangerous precedent by validating a rushed and incomplete case presented by the House. The Senate is not here to do the investigatory work that the House didn't do. Technically, the House was trying to do the investigation, but you kept obstructing it and fucking it up for them.